Finncattle, Western Finncattle, Eastern Finncattle and Northern Finncattle. On this old photo from 1938 in Kuusamo region, which is southern Lapland, northern Ostrobothnia area, you can see the colors and marks of Finncattle. They were red-flanked, black-flanked, almost completely black, white, red, grey, fawn, butter, white and variegated animals. Most of the animals were horned. The breeding goal in the beginning of the 20th century was to make them bold. Two more photos of the diverse native cattle. Here is one photo from Karelia. The type in the middle we have lost, but it is still preserved in the Icelandic cattle. And then down there is a photo of cattle from Estonia. Also here you can see how diverse the cattle was. The native cattle from Iceland can be seen as a reference cattle for the Nordic countries because the cattle was brought to Iceland from Norway about 1,000 years ago. And here we can really see all these different types of cattle. Have a closer look on Icelandic cattle. The farming organization in Iceland have made this very beautiful poster about different colors and marks of the Icelandic cattle breed. And here you can see there are polled and there are such with horn. Even on this one there is only like one left with horn. And different colors, different marks, some very speckled, some with several colors on one animal as well. There are the rest, and also here you can see then that among these there are only two with horns. So most likely also the horn issue has been relevant in Iceland in a way that there has not been any big predators, so there was really no need for horns on the island. Whereas then in other countries like Sweden and Finland, there has been a lot of wolves and bears and other predators where horns were really important for the cattle. So we are very grateful to the Farmers Association of Iceland that they compiled these posters about their animals. It's very important in our conservation work of native breeds in other Nordic countries so that we can see and refer to also what type of animals that there are on Iceland, and if something pop up in our populations, then it may be then just some recessive genes that are giving a new old look at the cattle. The amount of Finncattle has been varying from different years. As you can see here now, the Eastern Finncattle have been growing a lot lately. Even if there was in the start of 2020 and 21, there have been a small drop in cattle amount, then it has, from compared to 2013, it has really in these 10 years been increasing. The Western Finncattle is actually going steadily down. So it used to be the breed that had the most animals, but now it's diving lower and lower all the time. And then we have the Northern Finncattle, which is pretty steady or a slight increase. Still the amount of Northern Finncattle is very low. Luckily, then we have our official statistics. There are done some statistics also on the Finncattle, and you can see the number of cows, and it's now the number of cows that are included in these milk recording herds. So not all of them are. So you can just see here that the Western Finncattle, nearly all or a lot of them are, whereas then very few of the Eastern Finncattle are included in the milk recording herds. You can see that the average output, so milk kilo per cow, it's the highest in the West Finnish cow, and it's the lowest in Eastern Finnish cow. If we look at the protein content, it's not so big differences, and if we look at the fat, also here not that big differences, being then the highest in Northern Finncattle. Then if we look at the cells, then you can see that the Eastern Finncattle have the lowest amount. If we have a look at the minimum, maximum, and the average amount of milk on annual basis in different individuals, you can see that there is actually a huge variation between the minimum and maximum between these individuals. Most milk is produced by the Western Finnish cow, and the lowest amount is among the Eastern Finnish cattle. And actually what this picture shows it is that there are a great potential for breeding out of these native breeds cattle who also produce more milk. Still, the populations are so small that it is better to try to get more of the cattle before we start to make selections of high yielding milk cattle from the native breeds. If we then have a look at this different type of native cattle, then this Western Finnish type of cattle, it was not actually only in Western Finland, but there are also photos showing that similar type of cows were also in Karelia. So again, it's just one of the types of our native cattle that was chosen to be breeded, and was then named Western Finncattle because it was a lot of them in Western Finland. They are mostly brown colored in different lighter and darker colors, and they may have some white marks as well. These Western Finncattle are more productive than the other Finncattle breeds, and all these cattle actually are, this herd size are pretty small and easily get also inbred. And it's important now to map the internal diversity of the herds by collecting photos of the animals, and of course to increase the number of cattle kept. Alman Educational Farm has Western Finncattle in their herd. And here are some few photos of Western Finncattle. Here you can see also this very typical for native breeds, that the hairs here on the back are darker in color. That goes also for horses. And here you can see It's a black and white photo, but most likely then it is Western Finncattle, and you can see that most of them are horned. And one more picture, how they are walking home from the pasture in the morning or evening, most likely in the evening. And you can see that some of them are horned, but now here are also a lot of polled ones. And Western Finncattle, cow with calf. This is a Western Finncattle from Mustiala Education and Research Farm in the end of 1990s and start of 2000. And here you can see that it has white marks on the head. Also, this is a Western Finncattle, and you can see here that the color is much lighter. Anna-Maria Makkonen once delivered a photo of a grey Western Finncattle that was on a farm in Konnevede. Eastern Finncattle. So originally this cattle was of course all over Finland, this type of cattle, but then before they started to get it recognized as a breed, it was mostly in central and eastern Finland, so in Savo and Karelia areas. And this cattle is also called kyyttö in Finnish. And the goal for the appearance of it have been it to be hornless with red sides, and this is then very much also seen. And of course the population went to become so small before it was started to rescue it, and that may also be a reason that there is not so much diversity left in this Eastern Finncattle population as there is, for example, then in the Northern Finncattle population. It's described as very graceful, and it's known for its health, tenacity, and longevity. And it has very good curdling properties, so to make cheese out of its milk. Nowadays, then, as it's produced the lowest amount of milk, then there are mostly people are using it as a mother cow, so suckling cows, and not for making cheese out of him. And the educational farms at Alman and Kainu Vocational Institute Seppälä has these Eastern Finncattle in their herds. And also here we are then trying to map and get photos of them as much as possible in order to get to know how they really are looking like. And here you can see an old black and white photo of this type of cattle that the Eastern Finncattle represent today. At old photos, and we can see that they're also nearly totally white with some darker sun. And this type, white again with dots on the middle. A little bit more, bigger marks on the side. Looks like these are red marks. And then here one that is then red colored with white on the back. This is the type that was chosen to become the goal of the breeding. And here we have one horned, this type of cattle. And this photo actually is from Mustiala's old photo album. And here you can see the variation in how this Eastern Finncattle type that they choose to be a part of the pedigree looks like. As a result, then the cattle looks like this nowadays. This photo is from Mustiala Educational and Research Farm. Taika. It was also a calf born at Mustiala Education Research Farm in the beginning of the 20s. And some more photos of eastern Finncattle. There is one nearly white as well. And here are this typical how it looks nowadays. Also, this northern Finncattle started the pedigree of the breed in the beginning of the 20th century. And in the beginning, it was described as like mostly white ones, and ears and rump are black or brown. And it could have black or brown spots, but mainly it was like one colored white. And many times it's also resembling a lot of the coloring of eastern Finncattle. And mostly of them were polled. So that was also the breeding goal, that they shouldn't have any horns. Some sources are also saying that the polled animals have been developed as a defense against the cold, because the horns dissipate heat the most. And it's also said that the white color, they repels insects, and as there are a lot of mosquitoes up in northern parts of Finland, then that the white color would be a result of that. So also these animals are kept nowadays in a conservation herd on an educational farm. It's in Lappia, Vocational Institute's Louet teaching farm. Northern Finncattle, there was in the beginning also a totally red cattle, and it was then separated as a B group or B category in the pedigree, but later on it was abandoned. So these white-headed cattle, they were a part of the northern Finncattle, and we haven't found any name how the people used to call these cattle. But it was written that this Junno male played an important role in the breeding of the northern Finncattle, and it's also said that it has ruined the type with its whiteness head. So it was, from the breeder's point of view, it was kind of ugly. And of course, then this may have been one reason that normal people didn't want to keep it also, and that it has then died out. Here is an old photo in Mustiala's old photo collection, and this is looking like northern Finncattle, but it has horns. So most likely it was just a part of the native cattle. And then being present all over Finland, not just in northern Finland. In the media, most of the northern Finncattle has been showed like being like this. So a white cattle with some spots and perhaps with black ears or red ears. But northern Finncattle is very much diverse. Here you can see another one that pretty much looks like the eastern Finncattle. Pay notice to the colored star color that it has here on the fur. It is also a typical one for native breeds. You can see that it's kind of lighter around and then darker, so it forms such kind of patterns here. It's clearly seen on this individual. Northern Finncattle with horns, and perhaps a little bit grayish also on the side. And one more photo of this white with dark ears and some grayish spots on the side. Today, the northern Finncattle looks most like the old native cattle of Finland. Here you can see again the diversity in the outlook of Finncattle. At the end of the 19th century, when the first native cattle exhibitions were held, there was also something called Häme estate cattle. And it was a kind of cattle that was kept on big farm estates. And because it was too well fed, it was not accepted as a native cattle in the 19th century, at the end of the 19th century. The description was that it was medium size, deep, dark red, hornless, skin was thin and hair was shiny. We know that there has been such cattle at least in Kylmäkoski, Urjala, but also in Mustiala there was possible also this kind of cattle. We try to find old photos of this already now extinct Häme estate cattle. And here is a photo how it used to look like. And here are from Mustiala's educational farm at the start of the 20th century. And these cattle could perhaps also have been, at least some of them, something similar to this Häme estate cow. We do also collect photos of cattle in the archipelago, so the Turku and Åland island archipelago, and as there was descriptions of a cattle that was hornless and mottled in frosty red or white colors on the head and the chest and the belly, and also that it was going in these light yellow colors. And especially there was notice about this kind of cattle from Naua and Korpo, and also from Mynämäki parish. This cattle was not, they at this first native cattle exhibition at the end of the 19th century, they wanted also to get this recognized as an own breed, but it was then put together with the Western Finncattle. This is an old summer stable at Jungfruskär Islands in Turku archipelago, and it was really small, this shed. So also the cattle most likely out here on the islands were smaller in size. And this is a photo of cattle from Kittamaa. One more. So this is on the western coast of Finland. And one more. And here one that resembles very much the eastern Finncattle. So again, this was a farm keeping cattle on the really western coast of Finland. So a true native cattle herd is what we have here. Today, Suomenkarja ry is the non-government organization that works with native cattle in Finland. For many years, there was another one that quite recently have then stopped to function. There are two different Facebook groups for Finncattle. This one is for fans of Finncattle and also Finncattle owners. So here is a lot of people in this group, 1,700. And then there is Karja Lypsylehmä, which is Finncattle milk cows. and it's only for owners of Finncattle.